And the last race for tonight is the Alameda County Supervisor District 1. Honorables Vinnie Bacon, Melissa Hernandez, and Bob Wieckowski. Hey, Melissa. Okay. Yeah, just might be easier if you just sit there. Okay. So I'm gonna start off with Mr. Wieckowski and work backwards, and 2-minute opening, and then we'll do questions, and then a 1-minute closing if time permits.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all for your service to the Democratic Party. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you. Sometimes we at the state don't say thank you for the hard work that you guys do and the decisions, how you help shape our public policy. So that's the first thing. Some of you know I'm actively involved in the Ohlone area UDC and in Eden when I became the state senator. I have helped cultivate city council and school board candidates, have mentored them on what to do to get elected. I've helped establish the UDC and make sure that gets funded every year and the responsibilities that go on there. I've lent my staff. Tim Wieckowski is here. Many of you know that. These are people that, they're not just show up at the UDC, they run it. I could go through the list of the members of my staff that have given time off so they can run it, because it's that important, the endorsement you guys have tonight when you choose who's going to be the next supervisor of District 1. I think I'm uniquely qualified. I'm a bankruptcy attorney. I've done a whole series of bills on income inequality. What's hurting the whole state right now is homelessness. It is going to be the #1 issue in this election. We know that. Who's got the answers? What are the tools that we're going to use to try to combat that in a reasonable way with the resources we have? So I hope you will look favorably on my race and endorse me this evening.
Good evening, and thank you so much for being here this evening. My name is Melissa Hernandez. I'm a council member in the city of Dublin. I'm running for the Board of Supervisors because I believe I bring a new perspective to the board as a daughter of migrant farm workers, as a Latina, and as a mother, and decades-long volunteer with deep roots in our community. I will be a leader on issues important to Alameda County as well as our families, such as homelessness, affordable housing, social programs, and transportation. I know the importance of these critical county services. I know them because at one time, my family and I had to use them. I am the 5th of 7 children born to migrant farm workers in Dixon. Our family of 9 lived in the migrant camp in a 2-bedroom house. My parents worked incredibly hard, and through sheer grit, determination, and the helping hand of the compassionate community, we moved into the middle class. It is this experience that shaped me. It is the lens through which I looked at the world, and it is what inspired me to dedicate my life to giving back to our entire community. I've lived in Dublin for 20 years, and I have spent my adult life working as a small business manager in the health and dental industry, raising my children and volunteering in the Tri-Valley community. In 2016, I saw the need in my community, and I ran for the city council race, and at that time, I won. I received your endorsement in 2016, and I would hope to get your endorsement once again.
Thank you. If I asked you all what you thought of Citizens United, you would all probably say you don't like it. Well, what's wrong with it? It increases the amount of corporate influence in our political system. Now, my opponents would say that some level of corporate influence is okay, because both of them take money from corporations. I don't. I'm the only candidate in this race who has pledged not to take any money from corporations or developers. I believe that if we are to really put people over profits, then we have to stop corporations from using those profits to buy influence in our political system. In 2016, we lost the presidency because many members of the working class were not convinced that the Democratic Party had their back, and they voted for Trump. If we are to win these voters back to our party, we have to show them that we are on their side. What kind of a message are we sending to voters when we endorse candidates who take corporate money? That we're also the party of corporations? We just don't take as much money as the Republicans do? Seeing this exact issue play out is how I got involved in local politics. Oh, God. The landowners at Patterson Ranch, they donated tens of thousands of dollars to get their project through. And it was a horrible project. It was at the edge of town. It was not environmentally friendly. It was typical urban sprawl. And my opponent here, he took 25 donations, the maximum amount from the landowners. And that, to me, that was just wrong. And it got me involved in politics, and I said, I'm not taking developer money. We have to get corporate money out of politics. And that is firmly what I believe. That is everything that is wrong with our political system, is that we allow corporations like Pfizer and Monsanto and Wells Fargo to rule our political system. We have to get corporate money out of politics. And it won't happen until we have candidates like myself who step up and say, I won't take it. It means it's going to be much harder for me to fight. I'm going to have to fight harder with less money, but I'm going to do it because that's truly what I believe in. Thank you.
Okay, so none of you are a supervisor right now. So should you become elected as supervisor, what is the one or two top things that you would like to accomplish in that role?
Thank you. I think the main thing we need to really look at is the regional planning that we've had here in the Bay Area. First of all, it's just insane that we have so much development of corporate property over on the peninsula, and yet all the homes are put in on the Alameda County, and that, of course, results in just horrible traffic all throughout. The biggest issue we have there is, why is that the case? Because we've let developers run our political system. I've seen it in Fremont, where the developers will come in, for example, with affordable housing. And they'll say, oh, I can't put in enough affordable housing. I can put in 15%, that's all, or something like that. And yet you look at the numbers, we need like 60% to get adequate affordable housing here. How are we supposed to keep up when we're letting developers put in more and more market rate housing? And so the two topics I would say, one is definitely better regional planning, making more jobs over here, and actually forcing cities like Cupertino to put in affordable housing. And then secondly, we have to, affordable housing in general, we have to insist that new development have a very high level of affordable housing. Thank you.
The two
top things to do.
Sure.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. I would definitely look at homelessness, because not only is it keeps growing in the entire Alameda County, but also in the Tri-Valley as well, and in Fremont. I think it's very important for us to make sure that there's facilities for homelessness, and also having the resources that are available. Not only going into these cities and saying that it works for every city the way it worked for one or the other, but making sure that we evaluate the homeless individuals and get them the right resources that they need. You know, whether it's rehab, whether it's trying to make sure that we put them in programs that help them, you know, look for a job, or also, you know, maybe they lost their home. And they were living there just a month before, but because they didn't make that month's rent, that they couldn't stay there any longer. So making sure that we go in there and making sure to evaluate each city and provide the resources and facilities that they need.
So I guess my two top choices are homelessness and climate change. And one of the challenges that we have is that, you know, cities like Dublin, Fremont charge impact fees to build a new house. You know, sometimes it's up to $200,000. I authored a bill that is now law on accessory dwelling units that up to 750 feet, there's no impact fee that's charged. Not by the cities, not by the special districts, not by the park districts. So we can build more housing because it's affordable by design. On climate change, I'm going to be fighting my colleagues on resiliency. How do we spend money that benefits the entire Bay? You know, we're going to be challenged by sea level rise, and we need to do projects that don't help out San Francisco with a seawall, but help build the salt ponds and the marshes and builds up the resiliency for the Bay.
So, Melissa, how well prepared are you to represent both sides of the district, both the Fremont side and the Tri-Valley?
I feel that I'm definitely well prepared, not only communicating with the city managers, but also with the city council members on both the Tri-Valley and Fremont. They share some similarities. I know some of the homelessness for definitely Livermore is rising, and Fremont has some significant high numbers as well. So working with them closely, I think it's very important, and making sure that you are at all three cities, as much as you can.
Okay. Paul, next question. Same question.
I mean, currently I represent about 700,000 people in Alameda County. I have Nate Miley's, all that unincorporated area, Hayward. I represent Santa Clara, so I'm a little bit of a wonk. I like to read the packets that we get. I like to prepare for I like to ask dumb questions, challenge my colleagues who are on the dais on how we can do the best job. I've in the Assembly and in the Senate, I've gone into cities that I didn't represent, that I learned about them and learned about the issues that are challenging them. So I'm going to continue to do that. I think I'm energetic and refreshing with my perspective of how we can try to fix things and solve these problems that have been aching us for decades.
Thank you. There definitely has to be equality, and it's sad to see that we have people saying, "Oh, I want a Tri-Valley supervisor," or "I want a Fremont supervisor." I've spoken in front of Fremont people, and I've told them I'm going to represent all of my district equally. I'm sorry, you're not getting any special treatment. And I have seen numbers that show, for example, in the Measure A allocations as far as where money for affordable housing goes. I don't think it's being fairly distributed at this point. I think we definitely need a supervisor who is going to be fair in those allocations. I will bring back up the issue of homelessness. In Fremont, I'm very proud to say that we did vote for a homeless navigation center, which will be going in this summer. And that was very controversial. I got a lot of heat for that. But I said, no, I'm sorry. Taking care of people who are less fortunate is definitely something we have to do. And we have to do this not just in Fremont, not just in downtown Fremont, but in other parts of Fremont and in other parts of the district. We have to take care of those who are less fortunate than us. Thank you.
SB 857 public banking bill passed, and our local organization would really like to have the county sign on as sponsors in order to obtain a license to begin operating. Will you vote to join? Starting with you, Bob, and 30 seconds.
Yes, I vote for the bill. The key here is trying to put the cash call folks out of business. You really want to focus in on the micro loans that you give to people when they need funding. There's going to be a lot of variables that go in public bank, but it's really the small loans where you get this exorbitant interest rates that people are paying because they're stuck. They need the money to pay whatever the emergency is in their life.
So first, let me say I've never taken any. First of all, let me say I've never taken any money from any banks, and I never will. As far as the issue, yes, I'm definitely in favor of a public bank. One of the things I would say as far as seeing in housing, I was wondering, in city planning, I have a master's degree in city planning, and I learned about all these innovative designs, and I'm like, why aren't we doing this? Why aren't people doing this kind of innovative, affordable designs? And the answer I hear is because the banks won't go for it. The developers basically, they have to get money from the banks. And when we have banks that are very conservative and don't care about anything with their bottom line, we get the standard townhomes. Thank you.
I would support public banking. We want to make sure that we do it in a way that protects our public dollars and serves traditional underbanked and underserviced communities. especially underserved community members of color and of immigrant communities, immigrant people as well.
Okay, listen, since you've got the mic. Are you committed to bringing rent control to Alameda County?
So this was a question that I was asked at another forum as well too. I do believe that Governor Newsom has signed on to some bills at our last legislative, but I also feel that it's up to the cities. Every city is made up uniquely in different ways, so I think it's important for a city to make those decisions. I definitely feel that Governor Newsom putting the rent cap is important, and he seems like he's putting it in the right direction and is letting the state take care of it as well.
Okay, Bob?
Yeah. I mean, I voted for David Chu's bill, but let's be clear, this was just to try to control some of the gouging. I mean, it's not really a true rent control. Costa Hawkins overturn. It's just to deal with the obnoxious increases in rents that we've seen that go on, and this insensitivity to what the community in the state of California is doing. So yes, I support rent control.
I'm very proud to say that in Fremont, although it was quite controversial, I did bring a referral for rent control. It did not get passed, but that's where I stand on it. I'm sorry, 5% plus CPI, as that current bill is, that's not going to do anything. I remember being in one meeting and having a landlord representative say he wanted to see 8%, which is basically 5% plus CPI. It just does not cut it. We need stronger rent control, and we need it coming at the state level. I think we definitely need more rent protections. Proposition 13 was designed to help elderly homeowners stay in their home. We have nothing similar for elderly renters. And indeed, 5% plus CPI, I don't think Social Security goes up by 5% plus CPI. In fact, it goes up by CPI. If we really want rent control, how about just CPI and forget about that 5%? And that will help elderly people stay in their homes. And definitely, some kind of provision to help elderly people on fixed incomes would be great. Thank you.
So, Vinny, there's a question to you. Did your vote and support for 1,000 homes built in Warm Springs? Did you vote to support 1,000 homes in Warm Springs? And what other developments have you supported?
Well, thank you, Raj. Yes, I did. Actually, I am a fan of high-density housing near transit. I think that's where we do it. The general plan that we approved in Fremont was to put in 4,000 homes next to the BART station. I voted against that. I was the only vote to get against that. I felt that was just way too many homes. However, the one development that is being referred to was one dense housing development near BART, right next to BART. I thought that was appropriate. However, I will say about Warm Springs, that was a real failure. We had a chance to do something, a once-in-a-generation opportunity, to do something really innovative, a real true mixed-use village right there by Warm Springs BART. Instead, we caved to Lennar, we caved to the Valley Oak and the other developers, and we got largely townhomes, and we did not get anything close to mixed use. And I'm sorry, traffic there is just going to be horrific. It was a failure to do, like I say, a once-in-a-generation futuristic urban design. Thank you.
Did you want to, I mean, it was addressed to him. Did you want to address it? Okay. I'll take it back. All right. So, thanks.
As a supervisor, one of the main functions is to allocate resources throughout the county. What social services are the ones you would like to focus on should you become a supervisor?
Melissa, starting with you. Then Bob.
Sure. I would definitely allocate resources to homelessness, because I truly feel that that is an increasing problem within our Alameda County, not just in one city, in all the cities as well. So definitely trying to accomplish that. The Vision 2026 that has already been produced is also trying to show where the funding will be going and what year that they will be allocating it as well. I also feel that seniors, making sure that our seniors are taken care of, as well as our children. Looking into children at Camp Sweeney, I think is very important as well.
I think mental health, I know my colleague Jim Bell from San Jose is going to try again to get more money from the state on mental health. You know, we need to get to separate in the criminal justice system those folks that have the mental health problems from just the healthy criminals that want to do criminal stuff. But we really, you know, it's one of those embarrassing or fundamentally ills that we have in California that we're not really addressing the challenges that people have with mental health. So I'd like to work with the supervisors on that to see what we can do. And then, you know, obviously I would like to see more housing built. You know, in the world of ADUs, I think that I would like to see all 14 cities in the unincorporated area. I'd like to work with my colleagues there so we lift some of the other barriers so that every homeowner in the unincorporated area can build an accessory dwelling unit or two on their lot to just get more housing.
Okay, same question.
I'll give a Sarah Palin-like answer and say all of them. Seriously, I've looked through the budget and the services that Alameda County provides and mental health services, helping the homeless, they're great. And we definitely should not stop them. Let's be real. I mean, income inequality in this country has gone through the roof. And that means, of course, more and more people out struggling with rent, struggling with food, struggling just to find a place to live. In my opinion, we have to help those people. And I am fully in favor of basically all those services that Alameda County does. I will just say one little thing about the affordable housing. Of course, I was in favor of Measure AA to get more affordable housing funding. However, I think it's unfair that we have developers develop and don't put in the adequate affordable housing. Then there's this huge deficit of affordable housing, and they come and say, oh, taxpayers, you have to pay for all this affordable housing. That's just not right. We need to focus on developers and say, we need affordable housing. I think no one in this room would agree that we need more affordable housing. So we'll put it on developers. Thank you.
So Vinny, this is directed to you. You thought that the navigation center should be located next to the dump. What changed your mind?
Yeah, that's completely wrong. I never said anything about it being close to the dump. I was fully in favor of the navigation center. Sorry.
All right.
What is your position on Urban Shield? And what is your position on East Bay Clean Energy, considering the purchase of nuclear power?
Bob, can you start with you?
I oppose Urban Shield. I don't want Alameda County to buy any excess military equipment to use on any of the people that live in this county. And as far as East Bay Clean Energy and nuclear energy, I oppose it. Our RPS program in California is doing a fine job of reducing the amount of carbon that we're there. I can go on for hours about how I'm going to make the cap and trade program stronger so that we really make it a fundamental model for other jurisdictions to use to reduce carbon. It means doubling the price of carbon right now, and that would provide more funds for affordable housing and renewable resources and that.
With regards to urban, with regards to Urban Shield, I'm definitely a person that feels that our police officers and our firefighters should definitely have the correct training and in case of an emergency and a disaster. So I definitely think that the communication between police officers and firefighters that are in those unique situations need to be able to get people out of those situations, in disasters. So I don't think that Urban Shields will be coming back, but it's something that we definitely have to understand that our police officers and firefighters need to know how to communicate with each other to make sure that all of our residents in all the cities are safe.
And what's your position on the East Bay Clean Energy, considering the purchase of nuclear power?
So this is something that I can give you my opinion on. We definitely need more information, but since I sit on the East Bay Community Board, I will not tell you how to vote because we do have that vote coming up in May.
As far as Urban Shield, I do not believe in the militarization of our police. I think having them have adequate communication is one thing, militarization of our police is another. Regarding, I represent the city of Fremont on the East Bay Community Energy. I spoke at that public meeting very loudly against nuclear power and our purchase of it. I said that I felt like I was in a time warp. I'm old enough to remember 3 Mile Island. I'm old enough to, the whole battle over nukes. And no nukes. Yeah, that's my stance. So anyway, thank you.
So, Vinny, what is your position on the oversight of the county sheriff? One of the duties of the supervisor is to approve the sheriff's department budget. Would you closely review requests for funding and or additional funding for the sheriff?
Thank you. Well, first of all, as I mentioned, of course, we're getting more and more into income inequality. We have more and more people who are being put in jail for minor offenses. I'm sorry, these are human beings that deserve decent treatment. Absolutely. So we definitely, and I've heard a lot of reports coming out of the sheriff's department of some rather bad acts that have gone on there. I would be in favor of an audit of the sheriff's department, not just the financial audit, but an audit based on everything that's going on there. And again, I would say, an audit as far as financial, I think every organization that gets money from the city, from the county, deserves to be audited. Obviously, that's just one of the key aspects of the job of a supervisor, to make sure that all the money that is spent is properly spent. But and yes, I have to admit, I don't know all the details, but I have heard a lot of stories of, again, some pretty bad acts happening at the sheriff's department, so I would definitely be in favor of both a financial and an audit looking over their budget. Thank you.
Okay, so what is your position on the oversight of the county sheriff, and as responsibility as a supervisor of how would you oversee it in regards to the budget as well? And how do you review requests for funding and or additional funding for the sheriff's department?
Okay, that's a loaded question here.
Yeah.
So with regards to the sheriff, we all have to remember that he is an elected official, and we have to remember that he makes certain decisions that the Board of Supervisors have no control over as well. So he is running a huge facility at Santa Rita Jail, and we have to be mindful of that. I would not want his job. But with that being said, that's why I'm running for supervisor. But with that being said, to do an audit, I do believe that there has been some talk about that. And if an audit is done, they will see that we need more staff at the jail and at other services as well.
I'm for aggressive oversight, and I'm for changing the dialogue so that we have collaboration. It's not just the sheriff, it's every one of the departments at budget time take the money, and then they say, I'm duly elected, I'm going to do whatever I want to do, and we don't have the sharing of the resources that we need at the county level, because we don't have those many resources. The audit is just the first step. What you do then is you have to bring in a peer review that comes in and looks at the actions that the sheriff's taking, and then they come up with recommendations, and then it's up to the supervisors when we come back to the budget to say, damn it, you implement these things or we're going to hold back the money. That's all we have for the independence. That's it.
Unfortunately, we don't have much time. So 30 seconds to each one of these questions. How do you plan to address the decline of African American black
How do you plan to address the decline of African American black business, and also 30 seconds apiece for each one of these. And what, would you have taken any steps differently on the A's purchase of the A, you know, the sale of the A's?
I have no idea what to do on the decline of African American businesses in Alameda County. I'm open to increasing businesses everywhere. I think when you have the sale of public property, normally you want to have it at a comparative price. Normally in 2019, you want to have transparency. As a supervisor, I would make sure we have those two in any sale going forward.
With regards to African American businesses, I would work with the cities to try to help to offer incentives. I know that that's what we do in the city of Dublin. We offer incentives to some of the new businesses that are coming in. So let's offer those to all individuals as well too. With regards to the sales of the Oakland A's Stadium, I think the Board of Supervisors made the right decision. I don't necessarily feel that the county needs to be making millions of dollars for baseball players and football players.
30 seconds. Well, I'm a huge fan of local businesses, especially minority-owned businesses, and I think we need to do all we can to promote those. As for the A's, I think I'm the only one who's actually taken a public stance against that sale. The bottom line is, the A's won't build on the stadium property. They could pay their own money to build on the stadium property, but they don't want to. They want to go to Howard Terminal. Why? Because then they can get that land, they can develop, make hundreds of millions of dollars, and then use it to buy a stadium. So if anybody tells you the A's try to say, oh, we're going to pay for our own stadium, it's not true. Right now, they can pay for their own stadium, but they are not doing so. Thank you.
1 minute closing, starting with Mr. Bacon. Melissa.
Well, thank you very much for having me here tonight. In 2017, as a member of this Central Committee, I heard our chairperson, Robin, here, say that all the cities in Alameda County should be sanctuary cities, should have some form of rent stabilization, and increase minimum wage. I'm proud to say that despite those being quite controversial in Fremont, I brought referrals on all of those to the Fremont City Council with various levels of success. Twice, I brought referrals to have the council formally endorse Proposition 13 reform activities. The standard values that we have as Democrats, like LGBT equality, a woman's right to choose, fighting for the working class, environmentalism, those are ideas that I basically had since college, and I've never wavered on them. I have no problem bringing up progressive referrals like rent control to Alameda County, and would be happy to do so as a member of the Alameda County Board of Supervisors. In this world of Trump, climate change, and radical income inequality, we need someone who isn't afraid to swim against the current and demand progressive change.
As your supervisor, I will be this committee's representative to pass on the values of a Democrat. I was honored to be endorsed by your Central Committee when I ran for Dublin City Council in 2016. Our Democratic Party stands and celebrates diversity. As a Latina, a single mother of two, I feel that my perspective is important on the Board of Supervisors. And this truly is a social services job, and I will help to meet all the residents in Alameda County.
Thank you once again. I have shown a level of enthusiasm and independence, a keen mind for difficult issues in these 10 years that I've been in the legislature. I expect to bring it to the county. On Wednesday, I've authored 2 bills. One is an oil severance tax, another is an extended producer responsibility that we redo the bottle bill. This addresses some of the climate change, some of the waste we have, the problems that we have with plastics. It also addresses the oil industry and the profits that they make there, and trying to move the curve. I've been an advocate for the working poor, whether it's wage garnishments, bank levies. I have a whole slew of bills that I've championed for the underdog. As a bankruptcy attorney, that's what I did for a profession, and that's what I do for the county.
Thanks to all our candidates. A round of applause.